The Full Spectrum Podcast, presented by Champions and Legends. Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery. This is the Full Spectrum Podcast with Big Data and Maverick, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Big Data, welcome back to the basement. Quick question, how many days in a row did you have a headache after leaving last week?
I still have a headache.
Dude, what happened? That got away from us a little bit last week.
Well, whatever it was, it did not help me in my regular life.
No. Welcome back, everybody. Great time. Yeah, it was a long week, you know what? But hey, we're back. The wives let us out. We're doing our thing. And hey, P.S., thanks again for downloading. Always enjoying that. I want to start off this week's podcast with some crazy news. One of my favorite movies. We talked about movies a couple of times, but the one that really gets me going, one of my favorites. It's kind of under the wire. I'm a mafia guy. Love the Fight Club. Big fan. Ed Norton, little Brad Pitt, who doesn't love the pit, and loving the movie. But so here I am, right? Getting ready for the podcast. I'm looking at the internet, and I find, hey, what's this? What's this article all about in Montreal? Police break up a huge fight club that was going on behind the scenes, obviously, because what's the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Well, somebody ratted out the group out of Montreal, Canada. These guys were fighting, but the best part of the story, where were they fighting? At McGill University. For the listeners down in the States and across the world, McGill University up in Canada is basically the equivalence of Harvard and or Yale. So you got all these pocket nerds all getting into huge brawls over at the thing, and the police had to come out and break it up. Can you imagine what was going on over there?
And it's not just there. We also had something in New York City.
Yes.
A similar outing. And hey, if you're going to break the COVID protocol,
yeah,
why not go all the way? If you're going to break it, don't just not wear your mask on the train.
Yeah.
Go into a fight club and fight somebody.
Couldn't agree more. Look, I'm a big advocate of fighting with the regard of this. You won't find out what kind of man you are or person you are, or a woman. Let's just say a woman. Why can't there be a woman fight club? We'll get into that.
There
maybe
probably is. You just don't know about it.
You know what? See, they keep their word. They don't talk about it. Good for you, ladies. I like it. But here's my thing. That with the Fight Club, these guys are all fighting each other, as we know. But then you get to this thing, right? And you're like, who am I going to fight? Like in the movie, who am I going to fight? What if James Harrison's the guy they're like, I'm up next? Yeah, so am I. And James Harrison happens to be the guy you're up against next.
You don't want to be the guy crying and running out of the Fight Club before it starts.
And you got to fight him. You don't want to be that guy that's like, well, I don't want to take on James Harrison. Because there's no weight classes. You fight who's on.
You got some little guy who'll be like, well, Fight Club doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. I'm out of here.
Well, I do wonder, because in the movie, they never said, you never saw somebody going, no, that guy's a little out of my weight class, that guy's too big or too small for me, sorry. Well, what about this one? What if the other guy's a Jedi? Well, what happens then?
Well, you're in trouble.
What if you're fighting Baby Yoda?
Well, speaking of Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
He almost got canceled last week. People were really upset at him. Season 2, The Mandalorian. Now, there's some slight spoilers here. If you haven't seen it yet, I know it's just come out. But basically, Baby Yoda, he was snacking on some baby eggs.
Eggs.
Let's say some baby eggs. But hey, when you're hungry, what are you going to do?
Well,
the guy's in space.
Nothing better than caviar.
He's hungry all the time in the show.
Man. Well, he's a baby. He's growing.
Then in the next episode, he redeemed himself. I won't give any spoilers out, but Vanity Fair said it the best. They said, Baby Yoda's cancellation has been canceled.
Yeah.
So he was canceled. He's not canceled anymore. He's back. Everybody rejoice.
So people are, real quick, so you're telling me people actually went out of their way and wanted to cancel a fictional character that was eating eggs on this show?
Fictional eggs.
Fictional eggs. Good point.
You're right.
Good point. But okay, so I'm not a big Star Wars guy, and I've always said this to my friends. Never have been, never will be, neither. Okay, I just can't get into it. Never have. However, I do know one thing. They're the masters. Speaking of the masters, this weekend, we saw something that was unprecedented. Our boy, I don't want to say it again, 2 weeks in a row. What am I? Maybe I'm the master.
Did it again.
I did it again. Dustin Johnson laid out an absolute beating to the entire cast of the PGA Tour. An absolute beating. He led from the beginning right to the end, won by 5 strokes in the end. Did you watch any of the Masters? Did you enjoy it?
You know, I sure did. So, my pick, Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes.
He didn't do so well.
No.
So he tied for 34th. He was -2. Dustin Johnson was -20, and as Maverick said, he won by a long shot. Let me just give you a couple quick stats to show you why Dustin won and Bryson did not.
Yeah, sure.
So, driving distance, Bryson was number 1. Dustin was number 6.
Okay.
Driving accuracy, Bryson was number 40.
40.
And Dustin was number 11.
All gun, no show, huh?
Yeah, greens in regulation is even worse. Bryson, number 76. Dustin Johnson, number 9.
Uh-huh.
And putting, Bryson, number 23.
Yeah.
And Dustin, number 11. So you can see Dustin is
consistent,
excellent to very good in every category. Bryson's just really good at driving distance.
That's it.
He's not very good anywhere else. He's not bad in putting, actually, but you can see there's 18 strokes difference. So basically, you can tell why Dustin won.
So what you're saying is I was right again, saying analytics. You got to go both ways, Bryson. You got to hit the ball hard, but you got to use the other clubs too, buddy. It's not just a putter and the driver.
That's true. That's true.
You got to use both. Well, you know what? The other thing that caught my eye was at the end. Little Paulina Gretzky, coming out, give him a big kiss. One little thing. I'm not a big guy on this, or what I mean by that is 2013, they've been engaged. 7 years engaged. Got a couple of kids. Respect. I like it. You got the green jacket. I think she's looking for the ring to match now, Mr. Johnson. And you have no excuse. $11 million purse at the Masters.
He's probably good to afford that. He can probably sign some papers now.
Do you feel like he might have, at the end, he was like, oh, wait a minute. If I win, I might have to buy a ring. Maybe I should screw up this hole or something.
You know what? They were 2 coordinators with their Adidas outfits. That's all they were worried about.
Yeah, they looked fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic. You know what? Speaking of Masters, speaking of a guy that just can't seem to lose, let's talk about another guy. He's been on this podcast like 3-4 times now. It's you, Lewis Hamilton. Congratulations again goes out to the man, the myth, the legend, winning at the Turkish Grand Prix. This guy just can't lose.
He just can't. I didn't even know they had a Grand Prix in Turkey. This is great.
Well, okay, look. What we've realized here after 10 podcasts is simply this. This guy just keeps winning. No one seems to want to even compete with Lewis. So I got a different thing. You know where he's really going to impress me? How about you start driving a Peugeot and in traffic, and then get from one destination to another in California traffic? Let's just throw that out there. Or a little Dallas traffic.
Too dangerous. Too dangerous. You won't do it.
Then you'll impress me, Lewis. I don't care that you can rip around, no traffic, around a course, really fast. Good for you. You got Mercedes backing you. Do it in a Peugeot. Do it during traffic, and then you got my respect.
Well, listen. I'll give you a little perspective here. So he won the race, and in a car race,
yeah,
even though he's in the pole position, everyone does start at the same time.
Right.
He won by 31 seconds.
Right.
That's basically, Maverick, that's the equivalent of you running a mile in 1 minute.
Okay, I agree. And P.S., I can. But more importantly is this. This is what I want. I want some kid or a dog to be jetting out in the middle of traffic. Let's just see what his reaction times are when he has to use the brake. I bet you $50 he doesn't even know what a brake looks like.
Well, for this kind of money, he might not hit the brakes. He might keep going.
Okay, keep going. I feel like he needs a new obstacle. We need to throw out like traffic signs at this guy. Like, does he even know what a yield is? He probably doesn't even know what that is.
He probably has a Tesla and he uses the auto drive.
Can you imagine? That's exactly how it probably plays out.
He's like, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not driving myself around.
That's awesome. All right, let's get right into it. Last week, you went full nerd style, 100% full spectrum nerd style on the NBA. And since last week, it's like the NBA gods looked upon you, Big Data, and said, we need to give him a gift. And boy, did they ever. Free agency isn't until the 20th, we're a couple of days out. But there's something else going on. The trade, the signs. You know what? You go ahead. I'll just stand back. Have at her, my friend.
NBA's on fire. It's silly season again in the NBA. I'll just say the NBA draft is this week. There's a few neat prospects coming up, but nothing too crazy. So we'll recap the NBA draft coming up soon. But what we really want to talk about, NBA trades. Milwaukee Bucks, we'll start there. Giannis Antetokounmpo putting the pressure on the Bucks organization, basically saying, show me what you can do and I'll stick around. The moves they made were just to keep him happy. They went all in. And frankly, they've mortgaged their future just like a few other teams.
They don't even have a bench after I saw the trade. So you were like going crazy, sending me all these texts going, look at what just happened. I'm like, so who's going to play on this team? Like outside of the three guys that they for sure have that we know of.
So they have their main three guys. So they have Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, and of course Giannis. The big trades they made, they sent out just a boatload of future prospects. But they ended up with Jrue Holiday from the New Orleans Pelicans.
Big name.
He's the one big player, and then a guy we talked about last week, very fitting, Bogdanovich.
Did you pick, like, how many times are you going to hear that? Like, Lewis Hamilton 3-4 times, but Bogdanovich now? Like, this is big.
Well, if they win the NBA title, we'll be talking about him quite a bit. So, basically, they gave out Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, so kind of their 2 point guards are gone. That was the money they sent out. But then look at this. Coming up, a first-round draft pick in this year. Next year, 2024, they're swapping picks. 2025, the Pelicans get the Milwaukee's first-round pick. 2026, pick swap. 2027, a first-round pick. That's 4 years from now is when it really starts. Will Giannis even be there? What will be the state of the team? Who knows, right? So the Pelicans, I mean, they took the Lakers to the cleaners on draft picks. They've now taken the Bucks to the cleaners. Now, obviously, it was worth it for the Lakers, and it might be worth it for the Bucks too. But let's just go over these two players. Jrue Holiday makes about $27 million coming up.
Nice.
He's a great defender. His PER, which ranks all the players, kind of in a statistical order. He's at 17.
Oh, really?
He's got a true shooting percentage, 537, and he's got a great assist percentage at 29% when he's on the floor. He assists the baskets 29% of the time. And then Bogdanovich, he's a free agent, so they kind of did a sign-and trade with Milwaukee, so they haven't actually technically signed him yet. They can't do that till later in the week. Everyone's assuming he's in around the 16 million a year range. His PER is 15. He's got a true shooting 565, and like we went over last week, he's got an assist percentage of 18%. So his defense is a little suspect, whereas Jrue Holiday is a great defender. I think the Milwaukee team overall is a really good defensive team, so they can kind of absorb someone like Bogdan. But the key to the trade is more playmakers. So on offense, Jrue can make plays. Bogdan can make plays. Middleton, he's a bit of a playmaker, but is more of just a shooter. He's more of a scorer. You just give him the ball, get out of the way. He's not really doing too much playmaking. Giannis needs to play with playmakers, and Brook Lopez needs to play with playmakers. So they've upped their playmaking. They've got some guys who can really put it in the basket. And fine, they only have a limited amount of players right now. They're going to fill the roster with, they might be able to bring back some guys.
I know how they can fill the roster. Giannis got like 5 brothers, so that's how they're going to fill the roster.
They're
I
all
figured this
cousins
out.
too.
Yeah, I was just working the math right here. They're fine. They got cousins and brothers. They'll fill the roster. It's not a problem. I got this all solved.
So Milwaukee pushed their chips in the middle. They're going for it. I'm pretty sure unless Brooklyn does something crazy, or Boston does something crazy, or the Raptors, that Milwaukee will again be the favorite to be the 1 seed. And this time they might make some noise in the playoffs. They might, with a short bench, they might tax themselves a bit more in the season coming up. But I think in the end, they did a pretty good job, and they're all in.
Yeah, they're all in, but they still don't know what the cards lay. They really don't know if they've gone all in with Giannis or without Giannis. Very interesting, very intriguing. I got a name for you. Little Chris Paul. Why is this guy's name coming up every single year?
You would think when you make $40 million a year, you wouldn't get traded every year.
Seriously.
But it happens.
Is that like a deal or something? Like 40 million's a deal?
I think so. So
we really got to get this guy at 40 million.
So Chris Paul, he went to the Suns.
40 million.
Yeah, basically the Suns, they were able to move some money around. They moved some draft picks around. And the Suns are known for being pretty cheap, so they must think they're pretty good if they're going in on Chris Paul. He's got 2 years and over $80 million left on his contract, so it's huge money. OKC basically what they also sent out Schroeder to the Lakers.
I saw that. That's big
for Danny Green, and who knows if they'll keep Danny Green. So basically what they're saying is they're going to ship out a lot of guys. They're going to do a full rebuild around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They got a few nice young players there, and they got 1 million draft picks. They literally have, between them and the Pelicans, basically they have all the draft picks of the entire league for the next number of years.
Actually, you might mention that Phoenix is cheap, but isn't kind of Oklahoma? Didn't they didn't sign Billy Donovan, right?
So
they get rid of the coach of the year candidate. They get rid of $40 million. They get rid of Schroeder. Let's really call it what it is. It's Oklahoma. Spend some money, guys.
So for this year, they had to take a lot of money back just to make it work under the cap. So after this year, yes, their payroll is going to be really tiny. It is the smallest market in the league, but I have to give it to them. They've been taxpayers. They actually paid the tax last year. They've been taxpayers many years. And actually, 1 year they paid like $80 million in tax recently, which is stunning because they actually weren't that good.
Wow. That's all right. I stand corrected there. All right. From there, I got to ask the big question. It hasn't happened, but there's big rumor. It's the Harden not taking, from what reports are out there, is that Houston offered Harden $50 million, the max that you can get, $50 million a year. He said, no, I got to get out of here. I want to go to Brooklyn. Is it going to happen? Is this true?
So it very well could happen. Yeah, I mean, turning down that kind of money is... I mean, he has been making, and he's making a boatload of money anyway. But to turn down $50 million a year for your age, 34 and 35 seasons is pretty crazy. But these top players, they think they can get it anyway, so maybe he could still get that kind of money somewhere else. But in approximately, from Brooklyn's point of view, I have no idea why they'd want to do it.
Yeah.
They just got out of pick hell. They had so many years of the Celtics just taking their picks just for the Garnett Pierce years. Then they traded like everything they had just to try and win a championship early on, and they didn't even come close. So they just this year are back on their own footing with their own picks again. And, the tax to get a top player now has been inflated by Oklahoma City's Sam Presti is the general manager there, and the general manager in the New Orleans Pelicans too. They've just upped the amount of tax you have to pay to get one of these top players. So now it's like you got to give us 3 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, a young player, all these crazy assets that they're looking for. And why would Brooklyn do it? They have KD, they have Kyrie, they have enough offense. You put Harden on that team, they're probably going to give up like 150 points a game because you're also going to have to give away a few of your good defensive players to get Harden too. So I just don't see it. I mean, it could happen because it seems like KD and Kyrie kind of run the show there in Brooklyn. They got Steve Nash as their coach now. They basically handpicked him. They handpicked all their players. They're paying DeAndre Jordan, over $10 million a year because he's their best friend, and he's not even good anymore. And he was getting minutes over Jared Allen. It's a big mess. The players are basically running the show there. So if they get Harden, yeah, they might score 150 points a game too, but it's just not sustainable, and I don't think they would be able to beat the Lakers.
Dude, it's literally the worst thing. Like, on one end, I want it to happen because I guarantee you there's going to be drama every week. 100%. And there's going to be one of those, like, can we test it out for 90 days, and if not, trade me back to Houston kind of scenario. Like, like one of those, you order something on Amazon and you can return it or whatever. there is no way this can work with those three personalities. I don't even care about their talent. It's the personality side that I don't see this working at all. And I don't watch basketball nearly as much as you do, and I don't see it happening. Number two, do you feel that the beard has grown into his brain not to take $50 million a year, and you've been the leading scorer over the last couple of years? Like, you got the perfect scenario. Westbrook wants out of Houston, so you got rid of that guy. You want to go back to Brooklyn. If I'm Westbrook, I'm like, where's he going? He's going to Brooklyn? Perfect. I'm going to go there. I'm just going to piss him off. I'm just going to follow him around. And then that way you get the Oklahoma connection again.
Yeah, I mean, if they can bring back Oklahoma City, that'd be amazing. I mean, getting rid of Westbrook is going to be hard just because he makes just as much as Harden. He actually makes like 100 or 200,000 more a year than Harden.
Beautiful.
Which is between
beautiful. This story gets better by the second.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think the only ulterior motive I can see for him going to Brooklyn is that the gentlemen's club owners in Brooklyn might be behind him going there because he spends a lot of dough at the gentlemen's clubs.
That is true. Well done and well said.
Thank you.
I like
Get some inside intel there.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I love it. You know what? I don't even know what to say. I'm really cheering for this to happen. I mean, I just think this would be great for all NBA entertainment, everything. And you know who I actually feel the most sorry for is Steve Nash. Like, how the heck he got this job where a lot of people were like, how the heck did Steve Nash get this job? And now on top of it, okay, you got the job, maybe a little over your head. Now you got these three personalities possibly to deal with. Have fun, Mr. Nash.
Good luck.
Enjoy. All right. From there, we go to that league that seems to just take over for about 5-6 months out of the year and just really never lets go until they feel like they want to. It's UNFL. Week 11 just happened. Here's my thing. I told you last week I've learned nothing after 10 weeks, and after 11, the same has happened. Kyle Murray has now taken, I don't know how he did it, but over the last couple of weeks, he is now the front runner for the MVP award. And he's also the front runner for being killed by all NFL bettors, especially Bills money line takers. Last minute, throws that Hail Mary. Him and Hopkins, again, we go, Houston? Hey, Houston fan. You know who I'm talking to right now. How could you guys let him go? Oh, by the way, David Johnson's on the IR. So great move once again. Great move. What do you think of Kyle Murray? Do you feel like maybe he is actually the MVP right now if we were to vote and finish the season right at this moment?
I would still lean towards Russell Wilson a little bit.
He's lost a lot of steam, buddy.
He has, but you can't say that, Kyler Murray's last 3 games compared to, were just recent, and, Russell had his big 3 games early in the season. I would say that combination, though, you got Russell Wilson to DK Metcalf, which has been sputtering lately.
Yes.
But then you have Murray to Hopkins, which they're still trying to figure it out, and they're doing awesome. I think the real key, though, is Arizona is the #1 rushing team in the league.
It's weird.
It's crazy because of Kyler Murray.
Well, because, he's doing it all.
I've never seen someone that... It's not that he is fast, but he's just the quickest individual I have ever seen on the football field.
Yeah, Lamar.
Yeah, since Barry
I'll get
Sanders.
to you in a minute.
Yeah, he's literally it's like he's running on air. It's unbelievable. He's just got such quick feet that these guys, it's almost like he's not wearing pads and everyone else is wearing like double-sized pads. Like, that's how fast he's going around these people.
They're absolutely, you're absolutely correct. The way he runs and the way he just jolts around guys is unreal. That Hail Mary throw, I don't think gets enough play. And I know everyone's seen it, but what I want to get to real quick is that the way he threw it. He was drafted by the Oakland A's, I believe,
yes,
of the Major League Baseball a couple years ago, like 5th overall or something, like very high. The way he threw that Hail Mary, it looked like a shortstop, off balance, ripping it into the end zone. And then, of course, you got one of the greatest wide receivers in the league as of right now, Hopkins, going up and getting it. But it was so effortless. It was so beautiful. It was so nice. Like, I'm a huge Rodgers fan, but no one could pull off that pass except for Kyle. As of right now, I know it's only been 2-3 games, you're right, and the hype is on him. I agree, my vote would still go to Russell if the season ended right now, but Murray's on fire right now, and I don't think there's any stopping this kid. This kid's on fire to take on the MVP, man.
He's on the trajectory to win the MVP. And, you know, they had a lot of doubters being the number one pick a few years ago. But, man, there is no one doubting him anymore.
Absolutely not. From there, let's go to the other piece of crap that wrecked my parlay bet. It's you, Nick Chubb and Cleveland Browns. Listen, this is my whole thing with Nick Chubb, okay? Nick Chubb, it was a very windy game, crappy conditions. I get it. 10-7, backdoor cover, all right, on Houston. Houston, once again, somehow getting into this podcast. Don't know how you're doing it. But and then Nick Chubb breaks it open, and he goes, and instead of making it 17-7, he runs out of bounds and wrecks parlays across the world. He wrecks my bets. He wrecks everyone's bets.
My fantasy team.
Your fantasy team. Here's my question, honestly speaking. Should he have not scored that touchdown? If he scores it 17-7 with 1 minute left, less than 1 minute, 58, 57 seconds left in the game.
I mean, strategically speaking, he made the right move because he goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
All they have to do is get in the formation. They kneel a couple times, they win the game.
Right.
Only bad things can happen otherwise. So you score the touchdown, you know, say you miss the extra kick, then say something happens on the kickoff,
right.
Maybe somebody gets hurt, maybe something else like that happens.
Sure.
If you want to win the game and you don't care about betting, fantasy, all these kind of things, then it was the right move.
Okay, I agree, but I'm going to say this. What it also shows me is that he has no confidence. I know it was the right move. You're right on one end because it's an automatic, right? But on the other, you're up by 10. You're up by 14 points, or pardon, 17 points at this time. Your bottom line, the other team has. It would be an absolute miracle. And you know who I blame? It's Atlanta and you, LA Chargers. You guys have proven that you guys can lose games at the last minute, and that's why Nick Chubb wrecked the bets for everyone. So instead of being mad at Nick Chubb, maybe I'm more mad at Atlanta and the LA Chargers going forward. From there, it's you. You think I was going to let you go, Lamar? You think this is my day in the glory, man? This is what I've all dreamt about. Last year, he's the MVP. He's the big man. Where's the big man now? You're taking on the New England Patriots. They're left literally decimated. 9 guys on defense are on COVID. Gilmore's hurt on top of it. The offense, I don't even know who's like. They had to get their wide receiver to throw touchdown passes, and you couldn't win against the New England. I don't care if it was raining. I don't give a shit about anything. Bottom line, I parted that because at the end of the day, I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing this. Finally, I got a little redemption on the Lamar.
You did. I
you
have
think?
nothing else to add.
Nothing. You know what? I'm gonna leave. I just needed to get it off my chest. You're right. Maybe I was a little too harsh. I'm going to let it go. It's time for Pump and Dump.
Let's go. Top QBs this week. We talked about them already. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. The top 4 stays as it is. Bottom QB. We're looking at you, Carson Wentz. The last 2 weeks,
Really?
9 and 10 points in fantasy. Brutal. Let's go to the running backs.
He's that bad.
Oh, yeah, he's that bad.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know he's been struggling.
And that was
He has
against the Giants and the Cowboys.
And that's also his whole team came back last week. Like, his receiver corps is back.
He's got some guys back.
Yeah, he's got some guys
No, he
back.
played pretty bad.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And then running backs, again, the same. Cook, Kamara, Henry, Robinson. So we don't have much change in the quarterback or the running back. I'm going to call out a bottom running back in a high-scoring game, Arizona-Buffalo, Singletary. 1 point and 3 points in his last 2 games.
He's like Tony Montana, flash in the pan.
Then we got wide receiver, our guy, number 1, DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Tyler Lockett. Again, not much change there. Bottom wide receiver, I'll give you, and you know, I always give the America's team a little grief on this podcast.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper. In the last 3 games, he has 14 points.
He's been really sad, actually. Mind you, he's got no one passing to him, but whatever.
It is what it is. Even
I agree.
You know, some good wide receivers have bad quarterbacks.
No,
too.
I agreed. You're actually great point.
Tight end again, Kelsey by a mile. Jonnu Smith. Hawkinson's still in there at 3rd place. And I'm going to call him out again. Seattle offense, a lot of balls flying around. Greg Olsen.
You got to listen. Greg made his money and did his work in Carolina. You can't ask Greg to do everything. Leave Greg alone.
5 points in the last 4 games. That's disgusting.
Well, he needs Russell to pass on the ball. I'm pretty sure he's open.
Top defense is now the Steelers.
Well, okay, that was inevitable. That was coming down the line.
Bottom defense again, no longer the Raiders. It's again the Cowboys.
You know what? That's what 1 week does to you. So, next week the Raiders will be down there once again. We're ready to go. You know what? I love it when you do pump and dump. You know why? Because I feel like I get a little smarter. So last week I lost all my fantasy real quick, right? But now I think I know which free agents to grab, which not to grab. I'm ready to rock and roll. Playoffs right around the corner.
Playoffs are coming. There's a couple big wins you need to end the season to get in the playoffs.
Yep.
Make it happen, listeners.
All right, here it is. We're down to the last little segment. It's called The Great Debate. And what we do here is we basically grab a topic and we talk about it really quickly. And this is the final answer. What we tell you is the final answer. There is no subject. So when you go to your local pub and you talk about the subject, you go, listen, I heard it on the Full Spectrum. These guys said it. It's over. It's, Big Data and Maverick said it. It's over. It's golf and it's poker. So last week, obviously, the Masters happened and everyone's talking about it. There's a big talk about, is golf a talent or is it is it a skill? And you know what? And poker is the same thing. I play in we all play in this tournament each year. We watch it on the sports channels and all that stuff because somehow it's made its way on there. Big Data, I got a big question for you. Is golf and poker, I'm going to combine them together. Are they skills or are they talents?
So I got to break them apart.
Yeah.
I'm going to say poker is math.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it's a talent.
Okay.
Golf is just, and I'm sorry, golfers, I enjoy golf too, but on the pro tour,
right,
golf is basically just a sport played by rich, spoiled kids.
Okay, I hear you.
So really, they're the pros of a very small sample of people. They're like CEOs, for example.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Of course, not our CEO.
Right.
I mean, other CEOs.
Our CEO loves golf, by the way. Always call him and ask him to go for golf.
So, I mean, if you had all the different socioeconomic groups playing golf, I think we'd see a lot lower scores. We'd see a lot more competition. But really, I mean, who can afford to play golf? Who can afford to be out there all the time? I think golf is a skill set, and I think it's a skill set that's not, widely out there.
I'm gonna go with I agree with that, but I'm also gonna put poker as a skill as well. And I only say that because having played it, and I've gotten lucky on a few hands, but I think you really do need to know what you're doing. And I agree. Math can be in that gray zone. It can be a talent, it can be a skill. My dad for years has always told me, math, if you know math, you know everything. Like if you can add numbers and do everything you need to do, you're set. I'm going to put them in both. So I am going to say that at the end of the day, if you're at the bar and you're arguing with your friends, what do we tell them? Is it a skill or is it talent? What should we do? How are we going to end this? Like, to me, I think they're both skills. I think it's something you can both learn. I think a hustler can figure out both sides of it. I think that's the way you got to go with it. And it's something that we can learn, and with a lot of practice, you can get better and better and better. I think a skill to me is like somebody that plays basketball or hockey. You gotta like really hone your efforts towards it. Where that's a physical thing, you know what I mean? You got to be out there doing. Where this one, I know golf is physical, but it's repetitive.
That's right.
And same thing with cards. It's a repetitive action.
I'm gonna go with it's a talent.
It's a talent.
You got it.
All right, there it is.
That's the last
You
word.
figure it out. I don't know. All right, guys, listen. What an episode. That was fun. I feel like we talked about everything.
We really did.
You know what? This Holiday character, I didn't know he was the 17th best player in the NBA. I like it. I learned something today.
Thanks for downloading, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll do it again next week. The Full Spectrum Podcast, presented by Champions and Legends. Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery.
Have a great week, everyone. Lamar Jackson. I told everybody.